Imagine the unrelenting pressure of the North Sea in the late 8th century, where the wind exerts thousands of pounds of force against a single expanse of hand-woven wool. To harness such power without the fabric shredding, maritime engineers of the era required a fastener that was both incredibly hard and naturally resilient. They found their answer not in the forge, but in the depths of the ocean, specifically within the skeletal structures of large pelagic fish like the Atlantic cod and halibut. These fishbone islets represent a pinnacle of organic engineering designed by nature to withstand the rhythmic stresses of the deep and repurposed by man to conquer the waves. As we begin our investigation into the calcium density of these ancient fasteners, let your mind settle into the steady, repetitive details of historical craftsmanship. The 8th century mariner understood that the secret to a long voyage lay in the smallest points of contact, where the rope meets the sail. These contact points, the eyelets, had to survive the constant sawing motion of hemp cordage while maintaining the integrity of the surrounding textile. We start by examining the raw material, a cross-section of a mature cod vertebra, harvested and dried until its moisture content is less than 5%. This drying process stabilizes the collagen matrix, creating a material that is surprisingly similar to modern high-density polymers. When we look through a magnifying lens, we see the intricate network of Haversian canals that once transported nutrients through the living bone. In its dried state, these canals act as microscopic reinforcement pillars, providing a structural rigidity that resists compression. The artisan would select a bone with a diameter slightly larger than the intended hole, ensuring that the densest part of the cortical bone would form the outer rim of the eyelet. Using a small, hand-turned bow drill, the center of the bone is slowly hollowed out, a process that requires a steady hand and a calm, patient mind. Each rotation of the drill bit removes a tiny spiral of bone dust, a fine white powder that smells faintly of the sea. The rhythmic sound of the wood-on-wood friction creates a steady hum in the workshop, grounding the craftsman in the present moment. Once the central hole is established, the exterior of the bone is shaped with a fine-grained stone abrasive, smoothing any sharp edges that might snag the wool. The goal is to create a flared flange on both sides of the eyelet, a shape that mimics the modern metal grommet, but with a much smoother transition. This flare is critical because it distributes the tension of the fabric across a larger surface area, preventing the localized stress that leads to tearing. Under a microscope, we can see how the organic fibers of the wool settle against the smooth, polished surface of the fishbone. Unlike iron or bronze, which can develop microscopic burrs and rust over time, the bone remains remarkably smooth even after months of exposure to salt spray. This smoothness allows the sail to flex and shift without the fabric being cut by the fastener itself. The calcium carbonate and phosphate minerals within the bone provide a hardness that rivals some soft metals. Yet the internal collagen gives it a give that prevents it from being brittle. When the wind catches the sail, the fabric pulls against the eyelet, and the eyelet, in turn, presses against the surrounding weave. Because the bone is slightly porous, it absorbs a small amount of the lanolin remaining in the wool, effectively self-lubricating the interface between the two materials. This synergy between the sheep's wool and the fish's bone is a masterpiece of early maritime technology. We now perform a tension test, replicating the conditions of a gale-force wind using a calibrated wooden frame. As the weights are added, the fabric begins to groan, the individual threads stretching and tightening around the bone insert. In a modern metal eyelet, This is where the thin edge of the steel would begin to slice into the weft of the fabric. However, the wide, rounded shoulder of the fishbone eyelet cradles the threads, spreading the load evenly across hundreds of points of contact. The bone does not deform, nor does it crack, even as the tension reaches its peak. We observe the way the light reflects off the polished surface of the bone, a soft, pearlescent glow that contrasts with the rough, dark texture of the ancient wool. The stillness of the laboratory allows us to focus on the microscopic shifts in the material, the way the fibers settle into their new positions under load. There is a profound sense of continuity in this study, a connection to the thousands of anonymous sailors who trusted their lives to these small circles of bone. As the evening light fades, we continue to watch the steady state of the tensioned fabric, noting that no micro tears have appeared at the stress points. The engineering success of the 8th century was not just about strength, but about the harmonious integration of natural materials. The fishbone eyelet survives because it works with the fabric, not against it, bowing slightly to the wind's will without ever breaking. This resilience is a metaphor for the enduring nature of historical knowledge, the way ancient solutions can still teach us about balance and efficiency. As the test concludes, we slowly release the tension, watching the wool fibers return to their original, relaxed state. The eyelet remains perfectly seated, its white surface unmarred by the immense pressure it just endured. We run a finger over the smooth curve of the bone, feeling the coolness of the mineral structure and the soft texture of the wood-rubbed finish. The world of the 8th century was one of slow, deliberate movements and deep understanding of the natural world's gifts. By studying these eyelets, we allow ourselves to enter that slower pace, letting the technical details of calcium mineralization and textile physics wash over us. The complexity of the bone's internal architecture is a quiet reminder of the sophistication found in the simplest objects. We think about the quiet nights on the water, the rhythmic creaking of the rigging, and the silent strength of the bone holding everything together. Each eyelet is a tiny anchor, a point of stability in a world of constant motion and change. The study of history is often the study of the grand and the loud, but here, in the silence of the bone eyelet, we find a different kind of truth. It is a truth of patience, of careful selection, and of the incredible strength found in the things we often overlook. As the final light of the day disappears, the image of the bone eyelet remains, a pale circle against a dark background, a symbol of resilience and ancient ingenuity. We rest in the knowledge that these techniques, though centuries old, are still perfectly valid in their logic and execution. The fabric is safe, the bone is strong, and the engineering is sound. Let the weight of this historical understanding settle over you like a heavy, warm blanket of wool. There is nothing more to test, nothing more to prove, and the technical details have all been catalogued and understood. The sail is furled, the tools are put away, and the workshop is quiet. We find peace in the mechanical perfection of the past, a perfection that requires no electricity and no modern alloys. It is the perfection of the earth and the sea, brought together by the human hand and a deep respect for the materials at hand. The 8th century remains a distance away, yet through these eyelets we are held in a firm, gentle grip of history. Sleep comes easily when the structures around us are this secure, this well thought out, and this enduringly strong. The calcium remains, the collagen holds, and the story of the fishbone eyelet is complete. Discover more history by watching the next video. We're eager to share more with you. you can't go wrong. All our videos are deeply detailed, dull while fascinating, and distinctly sleep-inducing.